Alright, everybody, what is going on? We're back. Sorry if there was any earlier disruption there. But anyways, we're back with part 2 of our Young Justice Season 1 review. The earlier part got cut off just because of time restraints and things like that. Didn't want the video to be too long. So anyways, if you're coming straight from that video, welcome back. If you have not seen that one, go check it out. This is the second part to it. So we'd already talked about pretty much like the main things, like the characters so far, things like that. So, and speaking of characters, I want to continue straight up off back into characters. Now, one thing I realized that I didn't really talk too much about was everyone besides the team. I wanted to also hit on the Justice League for just a quick second here. But this episode, I think we're gonna really like kind of dive into like specific events in the episodes. But what I want to talk about really quickly before we get into that part is the league and some of their members and things like that. So we have all for real. I want to talk about just the league as a whole, and it felt like, interestingly enough, the league felt super not weak, but super underwhelming, I guess is a okay word. But like they just felt like they were just there, and they showed up at the end. They never, obviously the show's Young Justice. It's not about the league. The league just kind of happens to be there, and they are a part of it. But like you don't really see them do too much besides mentor the team, and that's it. And I mean, obviously that's what we expect, but it also feels like they're beaten so easily by everyone. So they like the end of the season, they were all now like this obviously wasn't no small feat by the Injustice League, or I don't know what their final name was, but this was no small feat by the people that did this. They did plan it months, and they all coordinating to take down the league. And then to remind you, the league is unlike the actual what's that series, the Justice League series. The league here is really small. Like they only have like 12 members or so at that point, I believe. Because what was Captain Marvel's number? I think it was like one. I want to say Captain Marvel was like one of the newer members, and he was like pretty like one. He was like 12 or something, or his number. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was pretty like it wasn't that many people, right? So, yeah, literally, because they all could fit at one table and during the vote and things like that. So, it's kind of a small league right now, young league, which is interesting. It's very interesting that it's not that many people in the league that they chose not to either. Maybe, I don't know if it had anything to do with rights, potentially, if rights were involved in the decision making, or if they just didn't feel like going too in depth. But they did have a whole league meeting, which is why I find it interesting that there only are like I think 12-15 members, something like that. So anyways, they do feel underwhelming, except for I will say Red Tornado, right? Red Tornado is a person is able to like solo the team, which we kind of see this in their first fight with Magan. She their first battle with her, they fought basically a villain similar who had the exact powers of Red Tornado, and he was easily handling them. So obviously Tornado himself could also do the same thing, and also he did do this. But he told the team to play dead, and he basically like soloed them. But I think he also would have did this even if he didn't lie to them. I think he still would have beat the team solo. So there is like a strength level. It does feel like the team itself cannot truly beat a leaguer. Like even with their combined strength, they should not be able to beat a leaguer. Is kind of what it feels like is the bar. So except later, I think obviously once it gets big enough that they're splitting the team up, that's when it was like they could beat some leaguers for sure. But I think that was kind of like the bar they tried to set earlier. But it still felt like the league did basically nothing at all in terms of in terms of what, like, and they brought no help. Well, Captain Marvel a little bit. Even he got captured. That's a prime example. He was helping them at one point when the team was mad at Aqualad for not telling them about the mole. He basically was there and got captured within like the first half of the episode. So what they do with the League is what they should have been doing with Kid Flash, is handicapping him anytime they had a chance to, so that they could make him look stronger when he actually could go all out. But they chose to just nerf him instead, and that I feel like was a poor decision. No, yeah, the League, like I said, biggest thing really, they was great. I like their design. Batman for sure. He kind of, like I said, very reminiscent of their the animated universe counterparts. Not exactly the same, but still pretty good art and animation on the League members, and no childish art or nothing like that. So I enjoyed how serious the League felt at times, especially during their meetings. Anytime the League was involved, it felt serious, and I think that's another thing I think they brought. It was there. Like, anytime you saw them, it was supposed to represent like how like you were supposed to feel the gravity of the situation if like the League had to handle it, or but a lot of times Batman was like, no, don't worry about that, that's League business, and it always felt like, I mean, not really, anyone can go investigate where Red Tornado is at or something like that. But anytime it was always their excuse, oh no, that's League business, don't worry about that, League gonna handle that. League never handles it, and they get beat out by a 13-year-old Robin to most things. So mind you, the show is about the younger them, so I mean it makes sense, but it does feel like they're I guess the word here is they feel they don't feel consistent. There it is. They don't feel consistent. It feels like 1 minute they're like really, really strong, powerful, and the next they're not. And obviously they even kind of tried to because when at the final episode they basically beat the League, and they put them back in, like they reprogrammed them or whatever. So basically they had to beat each member of the League, or at least get to a point where they could touch them and put the thing on. Now this isn't that hard. I feel like if all you have to do is just touch them or put the thing on them, that's not too crazy hard. But they still managed to do that relatively. It felt like easy against the whole League. But they did say this was because they weren't controlling themselves, and that they were being controlled, and because of that they were weaker because they were being controlled rather than controlling themselves. So that makes a lot of sense. Also, it felt like that it felt unrealistic when it came to the League. It felt like the League was like, go handle this mission, like the plant mission where the plants were attacking the cities controlled by the Joker, but they sent the Young Justice team to go destroy the plant for whatever reason. They thought they were the better option there, and I felt like if you knew that there was all these powerful people at the site, Poison Ivy, Joker, I forget some of the other ones. So a lot of Mystic people were there too. So you think it's okay to send that young team to take them down and stop them? So I felt like that in itself was, and obviously once again it shows about the young team. So obviously a lot of the bigger things are going to they want them to be the focal point, so it makes sense. But at the same time, it just still doesn't. It would have made more sense if they themselves was like, okay, we're gonna go stop who's controlling these plants, rather than Batman telling them to do it. That didn't make much sense. So, but Batman, then again, it did explain that situation. He did say the only reason he sent them was, or it needed to look like that the League was actively fighting the monsters, so that no one would suspect them coming, basically. So it would. I mean, they cover their ends, but it's still in a logical sense doesn't always line up. But at least they like notice. It seems like, or at least try to justify a lot of the things. So yeah. Other than that, I did enjoy. Anytime I saw Leaguer, I did enjoy it. Love Batman. Love how big of a role Batman played. I wish they let Superman do a little bit more. Superman was more of a they kind of sidelined him here in Wonder Woman. For whatever reason. Now, hopefully this changes. And it is a really big surprise on Superman's part, considering that Connor was on the team. Because Batman obviously mentoring Robin, and we didn't see much of Flash either. Considering that that Kid Flash was on the team, and also we didn't see too much of Aquaman, but he did have kind of an Atlantean. There was like an Atlantean episode. So where Black Manta came, so he kind of did get a little bit of spotlight, more so compared to like the Flash, but still it felt like Batman was like the main guy, and obviously Tornado was there, but Tornado was basically their mentor. So, and then we saw quite a bit of Captain Marvel. I thought was good, which mainly I'm assuming is because he himself is also a child, so maybe they felt like that dynamic hit harder with the audience, the target audience, is why I kind of feel like he got a lot of spotlight compared to some of the other leaguers. But yeah, I'm just more surprised that a lot of like the Lanterns didn't get a lot of light, things like that. So, but once again, it shows about the younger team, so makes sense. And we already talked about all the team members themselves. I really feel like I'm missing one that might have came at the very end, but we will see once I look at the episodes and we talk about that. So I guess now I kind of want to move on to the plot wise. They really did do a really nice job of keeping everything in line. It made sense. Everything was coherent. The first season, they had to. They're limited, right? They're limited in not knowing. I'm not sure how many like seasons already got greenlit by that point, but it felt like they at least knew they had 2 seasons. Maybe I'm not sure. But because a lot of things did lead into a second season. At least at the end, because I mean the seasons almost flow into each other if you watch it, but it made a lot of sense from like front to back. There wasn't any really too many plot holes except for I guess a few league decisions, and that was about it. But yeah, they're essentially like from like new, like just like look at. Because, I mean, just look at everything Roy does. Everything Red Arrow does is significant towards the end game here. So every move he makes, obviously they have to plan out a season. So it's not too shocking, but it's still beautiful to watch, and it still all lines up. And it's still interesting to see something and not know like it was a big part of it was a small part of a bigger plot at the end. So see all of Roy's actions essentially, it was a big twist. But it almost, you could say, feels obvious when he's pressing so hard about a mole, which I think was one of the like programmings they like gave him, which was to force to push the mole issue, which to I guess add division to the team or something like that, I believe. Anyways, yeah, there was a lot of programming, mind control, all type of stuff. McGann had essentially oh yeah, speaking of McGann, okay, that's what we're gonna move into. There was a lot of secret keeping going on at one point. Now I have to respect this because this is this is also, it feels unrealistic but realistic. A lot of times I always wonder, why are you hiding stuff? Some things I can understand hiding, but some other things, why are you hiding if you really are a good guy morally, things like that. So there was a point in time where they all were basically kind of being blackmailed to a degree, and then they flipped this on the Injustice League. I'm not gonna keep saying Injustice. I want to say they had came up with another, like, the whatever. I can't remember the exact group name with Vandal Savage. Like, the group led by Vandal Savage is the one that was the main one, but the Injustice was the Decoy League, and that was the one with the Joker and like Black Poison Ivy and them, and that was the Injustice League. But and then there was a whole subplot with the ice villains, and that's how actually the series started, was them taking out the ice villains. And then there was a bunch of things that really you would think the league should have known about, especially Batman. But obviously they're so busy taking care of like the small crime too. But there was so much underground stuff. They knew about Cadmus but never investigated it. But until the young squad did it on their own, and that opened a can of worms, with starting with Superboy, but also that was just kind of the beginning of a lot of the genomes. That's why I could not remember the name of the aliens. Superboy's a genome, and that's what I was trying to think about last video. Yeah, I feel like I was trying to come back to something here. The plot. All right, yes, that's right. The secrets. Yeah, so a lot of times I feel like secrets. Why are you holding this? So there was an episode where they were all just like, yeah, Artemis was like, yeah, my dad is a sports master. Megan was just like, yeah, this is my true form. Which, now that one I was a little more shocked, but she's such a goody good that it made sense. But she was so fearful of it earlier that she dang near turn Simon into a freaking a sandbag. I was curious as to how she was able to drop it so easy, because she was like she was so worried about it that she let Queen Bee like blackmail her, at least for a little bit. And it was just like all of a sudden she was just like, nah, I don't care anymore. Here's my form, So in Superboy, being honest, isn't the most, like, he had to be honest, because I mean they saw him flying in heat vision and stuff like that at some point. So that he had to at some point had kind of be honest, because that was pretty obvious. But in Artemis, I never understood why she was so hesitant. But obviously it shows that since people already knew about it, Rich was just Robin and Batman. They know about everyone. That them two know everybody secrets. But with that being said, she still felt comfortable with the team, even though they already knew kind of her background. So then Roy, we talked about that. So I think we pretty much covered everything. I want to hop into the episodes. I'm trying to brainstorm one more quick time. Yeah, I like seeing everybody, man. I like seeing everybody. When Superman still felt really like he played such a minor role. I feel like he should have definitely. He's a guy. He brought a lot of comparisons. Like, anytime there was something involving strength, they're like, oh, even Superman can't break or do this, or so he was like the epitome of like strength or things like that, or like this should be unbreakable. He was the standard for that stuff. So that was kind of interesting to see. At least that's where they kind of used him mainly as a reference. So there was a few. Okay, yeah, cause I'm starting to think of episode stuff now. So yeah, we'll just let's glance at the episodes, and then we will kind of just talk about them as we go. And if I can think of anything else to cover, I will. But this was kind of the whole point anyway, was for me to just kind of look at these episodes and talk about Okay, so here are the episodes. So episode one, we pretty basic. We were introduced to the team: Green Arrow, Kid Flash, Aqualad. I sorry, did I say Green Arrow, Red Arrow, or I guess he was going by Speedy then. Speedy, Robin, Kid Flash, Aqualad. Stable four. Interesting. I kind of find it interesting. I guess technically Roy never joined the team. He never joined the team until later, but I'm surprised he wasn't like number 4 or whatever in the number order. But I guess it went off legit joining the team. So fireworks, they were all captured, and this is when they convinced Superboy to this is episode 2. I thought this was all in episode 1. So this episode 2, they captured the team, and they convinced Connor to set them free. So he had like, what was funny is because they were programming him. I don't know if the darn, we just said their names. We just the oh my god, what are those creatures' names? Oh my god, can't think of it. But the creatures, the guy that could, like, he was telepathic. He told them. He was the one telling Superboy how to escape. No, darn, what were those things called? I can't remember. I'm not gonna get folks too caught up on it. But genomes, there it is. I knew it was gonna come. Genomes. So Superboy, what was, I don't even remember what my thought was for this episode. Basically, they convinced Superboy to turn to. Oh yes, that's what I was getting at. Yeah, they were the genomes were like giving him memories, or they were doing something. I don't know if they was teaching him basic information, speech. I don't know what the genomes were doing to Superboy, but all I know is when they Aqualad basically convinced him, like, what would Superman do type moment, like a what would Jesus type moment, basically. But he basically convinced him to free them. But I found this interesting because if he was really a blank slate, why did he feel compelled to do the right thing, and why did he know so much about Superman? And maybe it's because I don't know. I still don't understand this, because if they were trying to make him a weapon, why make him look up to Superman? That's kind of another like loophole I just realized about it. Is I don't understand how Superboy ended up being so on the side of good. Now, also, if he feels like he's a weapon, why does he still also feel so angry all the time? I feel like wouldn't you feel like, would you not want to kind of suppress that rage if you felt like you were supposed to be a weapon? But anyways, that seems like the more psychological effect. Episode 3, welcome to Happy Harbor. Essentially, I think they had just got the base at this point. Let's see. So yes, it says after Speedy declines to join the team, Robin, Aqualad, Kid Flash fear Young Justice is a joke, while Magan fears there is no room for, I'm assuming, jokes. But so you join. I think this episode they ended up fighting Red Tornado, or the guy that has the same exact powers as Red Tornado. And this is just a nice, good team building episode. They also use this to introduce us to that guy. So many names thrown around, so I'm sorry if I can't remember all the names to everything, to everybody. But there was like two ingenious creators. One of them was the guy that actually created the tornadoes, and the other one was the guy that created like the android that could copy the League's powers. Now, the guy that created Tornado also sent this thing to go and attack them, but he basically sent two androids, an android within an android, which was kind of funny. So Drop Zone, this is when they found out about that. This was when Bane fought. They used Bane serum they mixed it, infused it with something else to make a kind of a, almost like an abomination type serum, because the guy got really pretty big. And he pretty much beat up Bane, or just to demonstrate the how useful it is. So they busted in on that. This is also when they was trying to discuss or decide the leader, I believe. On a first official assignment, the team finds themselves caught in a struggle between Bane and cult leader Cobra. So, and this is the guy I was talking about. And the cult leader, this was the guy that was giving Robin work. I remember trying to talk. I couldn't think of his name, but this is the guy I was talking about was giving Robin work. Even though any other time Explosion Boy Robin had screen time, he was giving other people work and throwing off his mini nukes. He got worked a little bit in the end of this. And I think we did see Tap Sportsmaster here, I want to say too, when we was introduced. But this mainly was when they determined the leadership. Robin wanted to be the first leader. He was but the thing was here is Robin didn't know how to be a leader. He basically jumped in and started. He was like, because him and Batman could just do their own things. Like they could go together on a mission, but they didn't have to talk. They knew what their assignment was. Here there wasn't defined roles yet, so it was kind of hard because Robin would just disappear to do his own thing without discussing anybody what else was going on. And Robin's just like, aren't you guys? And it really shows. I feel like this episode really showed how much more experienced Robin truly was compared to everyone else. Now, they mentioned this later, that Batman took Robin under his wing at 9, and in this show, Robin's 13. So we know that he's been doing this for already 4 years. I'm sure the other ones haven't been doing it as long. So yeah, Robin, it shows he has the most experience, but he's just not the maturity level, I think, and he's just too used to working like kind of with Batman. So they pick Aqualad here by the end of the episode, and Aqualad kind of does a bit of foreshadowing very obviously and says, I will hold the position until you're ready to take it, basically. And once again, I've said this a lot of times, but I really enjoyed Kilder as a character. I mentioned that in the first part of this video. So Schooled, super angry over his new relationship with Superman is getting out of control. I think he refuses to train with Black Canary. Yeah, this is when we kind of see he was like getting his most angry here. I think this is the one where Batman was like, we need to talk. He said that to like Superman a few times. And I think, yeah, this is the one where they were trying to fix the bridge, save some kids on it. And then Superman was like, hey, you could have unstabilized the bridge. And then Batman basically was just like, hey, you need to like warm up to the guy, basically, is what Batman told Superman about Superboy. And I'm trying to think I can't remember if there's anything else really important here. And I think just by the end of it, Black Canary just kind of was like, you need to learn how to kind of direct your rage. And I think after that, he was a little bit less angry in a sense, I feel like, after this, but he's still angry. Artemis joins the team that episode 2. This was Artemis faces an uphill battle, winning over her new teammates as she tries to fill Red Arrow's boots. You know what I feel like also happened this episode? No, I could be wrong. No, I did. Yeah, no, this has to be it. This was the episode where the League, they had fought that android, and then they had to go recover the android. This is that episode. And then halfway through the episode, that's when Black Canary was like, hey, you need to redirect, your anger towards your, combat. And then later he says that to the android, and this is the android that could copy the League's powers. And then they thought they got saved. They thought they had got saved by Green Arrow, but they actually had got saved by Artemis, because they was like, Robin was like, you guys were still watching us because they found the arrow, and then Green Arrow was like, that's not mine. and then they thought it was Roy, but it was really, I think, Artemis's arrow that saved them, and they recruited Artemis, so she was in like the very next episode, funny enough. Denial, and then this one, I think this is the infiltration. This is the one where they thought, this is the one where they thought that, this is when the tornadoes came, and this is where I was talking about in the first episode. Artemis freaked out, and she was, basically, they had to. This is, if you didn't understand my explosion boy joke with Robin, go watch episode 6 right now and see how many times this man detonates an explosion. So just watch this episode alone. Shape my opinion on Robin. His superpower is detonating bombs. That's his whole ordeal. So yeah, this is the one where the tornadoes gain control of the tornado, the fire in the blue tornado kind of attack, and they had to Artemis had to feels red on mission by him. Or is it the next one? I'm not sure if it's this one or the next one, or it might be a later one. I'm pretty sure that's the one. Okay, Denial. So they looked for Kent Nelson, and this is the one where we first get introduced to Dr. Fate. They did him justice this series. I like his voice a lot. And they really went more into him. Funny enough, they went more into his lore than almost any other of the Leaguers. Him and Red Tornado got a lot of League lore here, so I really enjoy that. Didn't know too much about Dr. Fate. This show gave me a lot of insight on him. And also Red Tornado as well, which I think this show really highlights Red Tornado out of all of the Leaguers. I think because not a lot of people know too much about him, but this really put him on the map, I think. For anyone who just wasn't a big comic head, they definitely were introduced to Tornado this series. Downtime. This is Aqualad returns. So yeah, they were like, you need to choose. Aqualad was kind of having doubts on staying on the surface or staying in Atlantis, and then I think when he was kind of leaning towards staying in Atlantis, and I think he had decided to, until the girl he was was already talking to the other Aqualad, and I keep forgetting his name. So this is the Aqua Girl of his dreams. And then this one, I believe, is finds themselves wandering in the desert. This is a pretty staple episode. There was like confusing the desert, didn't have no memory, and basically McGann had to revive everyone's memory from six months ago before the team even started. It was funny enough because Robin, Kid Flash, and Aqualad recognized each other because they knew each other before 6 months, but they didn't know anyone else before 6 months. So Megan gave everyone back their memory. Connor basically didn't have memory past 6 months ago, so he became just like a raging bull in a china shop. Targets, this is when don't start an episode. Nope. Okay, good. Shadow from Insurance, we're pitting him against not 100. So I'm gonna be honest on. Oh no, the home front is the episode where Artemis and the Reds attack. So 12. So I'm not too big on episode 11. Let me read this 10. Riddler prevents the League of Shadows from saying we're pitting him against the world's most dangerous. Oh yeah. This is where Red Arrow basically was he was working with Lex Luthor and things like that. This is pretty much a Red Arrow episode, letting us know that he was still out there and doing his thing. Terrors. This is where they invaded the prison. This episode, I'm not too sure. I was not too focused this episode. I'll be honest. I remember watching this one being like, yeah, this is one of the slower episodes, and it wasn't that interesting. The plot wasn't just that great. And I was watching it, but not really watching it. But this one, it was essentially breaking into the prison to kind of figure out what was going on. what the big scheme was with the ice people. Homefront. This is where Robin and Artemis. This is the episode. I'm sorry. If you want to know the explosion joke with Robin, it's Homefront, episode 12, not 6. You're gonna see a lot of Robin throwing detonations everywhere. Alpha male learns Aqualad. So there's this is where they feel there's a mole on the team, and then Revelation. No, I think this is also the same. Yep, because Captain Marvel's in this one. 13 is also where they got mad at Aqualad for not talking about there being a mole on the team. So they got frustrated with him about that, and that's what happened in this episode, and nothing too crazy. I'm trying to think if they got upset with him, and he ended up just taking control of the team. I really did enjoy this one. It's called Alpha Male. Now I think I see why, because Captain Marvel was like, so there's some things Batman says that I don't agree with, but we still listen to him. And then Kelder was basically like, you're right, because Batman just takes charge, and that's what Kelder ended up doing, which I really I find funny, that episode. And Revelations, I think this is when the Injustice League, right? This is when the Injustice League kind of appeared, and this was when the Joker and them, they were controlling the plants. And this is when they came and they were sent to destroy the plant. And then this is another episode, Robin Explosion Boy, because that's how a plant gets destroyed. Is Robin put 20 explosions, detonating devices on it. Humility. This is where they he made another red. This one was Eruptor or something like that. This one was pretty a very more serious tone, because this android was evil, and he immediately ripped up his creator. He ripped up the android. Funny enough, not knowing that it was an android, but he that would have been a very brutal scene if he did that to a human flesh and bones. Because think about to rip an android in half takes far more strength than to rip a human in half. So I find that pretty kind of interesting. Funny enough, there's another rip body scene just like that, similar, in season 2, first episode. Failsafe. Team faces the ultimate challenge. Oh, this is where McGann basically we find out how powerful she really is. And she basically convinced the team that they were she basically convinced the team that they were really in a simulation, but it was like a training exercise, but she convinced everyone it was real, and but it was supposed to be like a lose-lose no matter what the team did. That's a really interesting episode. I think it really dove into McGann's ability and how powerful she is, and really, because Martian Manhunter is second to Superman in terms of strongest beings on the planet, and McGann should clearly be, with a half Kryptonian, McGann should truly be the strongest person on this team, really. And then Disorder. This is where Connor had ran into this one. He already had the sphere, but this is when he found out that the sphere could turn into a motorcycle, and this is when they ran into he ran into these time travelers that had this mother box, and they could merge together and form this ultimate. I forget the name of it. I wish these descriptions were a little bit more entry. Undergoing, tension of the forever people of New. I think that's the name of the group, but so that they had let him keep the sphere. But this was an interesting episode. Really, just Connor by himself here. And did anyone? I don't think anyone else had any part here. Just kind of Connor doing his thing here. So, episode 18 Secrets. This was a Halloween. Yeah, Artemis and Zatana. This was kind of an interesting one because the newer members kind of got some screen time here. Mainly Zatana, which at this point I had a lot of respect for Zatana because she immediately was able to just kind of fit on the team. Her power seemed kind of broken. She felt uncomfortable with them. Like she don't feel like she's as good as her dad, but she definitely is strong. Definitely a top member immediately after joining. Yeah, but her and Artemis kind of, I think, funny enough, I think there was the what was his name? Payne. What was his? No, I forget the name of the guy, but I'm pretty sure they met the ghost they were talking to. At first I thought that was Dagger. I could be wrong, but is that not Dagger? Or am I tripping? I slipped up. Dagger's Marvel. I'm sorry. That's why I'm like, is that not I was thinking the whole time, is this Dagger? Dagger's Marvel though. Okay. Replace. Okay, yeah, this was an interesting one. The Earth. So it got split with adulting and the kids. I thought this one was really funny. I felt like it, and it really gave Shazam a spotlight here. And I think this is why Shazam really kind of played a little bit more, is because Shazam is actually younger at heart. So this is why I think he got so much screen time here in this episode, or just in this series as well. Because he also kind of appeals to younger audiences. Now, Cold-Hearted, this is when Wally, this is when he's kind of at his best. I think this is also when he found out that Connor and McGann were dating. But this is where we see him, because he's using his speed to deliver his heart, and we see him essentially at his best here. This is his best showing in the series. He kind of fights up. He fights. He goes head to head with Vandal Savage. Doesn't lose. Just leaves once everyone's safe. Kind of does his thing. I thought it was dumb at first, but he did save the civilians there in the situation. Let everyone get to escape. Then he races to the sorry if I can talk. He goes to the hospital. They trick him to give up the heart. But then he finds out that he actually did make it in time. He gets the heart. He beats up, I forget his name, but the guy with psychic powers, or it's not even like a psychic, it's almost like the Canary Scream, but mental, which I don't even know. I forget the guy's name, because this is the first time I've seen him was in this series, so I don't know his name off the top of my head. But anyways, Kid Flash sets up a plan to blackmail him. So it pretty smart, showing how smart Wally is, how fast Wally is, and I really enjoyed this one. But it's probably his best showing, and even then he still was underwhelming in power. But still, he was able to handle the situation all by himself and fight on two big bad guys. So big baddies, when I mean like they're like top level villains. Corporate operation against Queen Bee. Okay, so yes, is this no? This isn't it. Is this it or no? Against Queen Bee Force Miss Martian to finally face her greatest fear and her biggest fear. Okay, so this is it. This is the one. Okay, I forgot, because I kept looking at Connor. I thought Connor wasn't here. Connor was here. So the thing with Connor here, well, I mean, this was a funny one, because I was a big Beast Boy fan, so I immediately I knew he was in later seasons. So spoiler warning if you haven't seen later seasons. Sorry, I guess it's already out there. Spoiler warnings really quickly. I'm finna mention a character that's in season 2, but he is introduced here in this episode, and that is Garfield. And I was a big Beast Boy fan, and so I knew like Garfield and his background and things like that beforehand. So as soon as his mom had called him, I was like, oh, that's Beast Boy. Before he became Beast Boy, and I did not know why him and McGann had such a close. Also, another spoiler for season 2. Him and McGann had such a close relationship as it started here, and he felt a real close attachment because she gives him her blood, and also she was a big fan of his mom, so they just kind of get this like really neat bond, right? And her form is very similar to his mom in her younger days when she used to be an actor. So anyways, which I'm gonna talk about more about her later in when I make season 2 reviews. So agendas, this episode 22 was about Connor. This when he got the shields, and this is when he had the power. He could get the full Kryptonian powers. He ended up this was when he found out Lex was his father, or at least half DNA donor, and then there's this evil Superman, which I remember this scene very well from the first time I seen it, because I thought it was so strange that Superman, or the Superboy here, he had basically like lasered the S on his chest. Insecurities, Red Arrow returns, undercutting. See, this is when Red Arrow returns to the team. I believe, and then I think this when they were chasing Cheshire and Sportsmaster, and they ended up just not trusting each other this whole episode pretty much. And can't remember anything else too big going on there. Then there was performance, which Tim undergo. So they went undercover here to basically figure out if this circus was under there was like every time the circus went somewhere, something would happen. So they basically went to see if there was a some sort of like disturbance with the they're trying to see if there was some type of disturbance going on with the team, with the circus and the other people. So anyways, I'm trying to think. Nothing too crazy. I'm trying to think if there was anything really notable in that episode that is the later ones. Oh, I didn't know there was international traveling circus located thieves selling weapon technology across Europe. As far as plot wise, this wasn't really too big. It kind of explored a little bit of Robin's background. Other than that, nothing too big on this episode. That the usual suspects, this is where things turn, because this is when it leads into the grand finale of us finding out the mole was Red Arrow, and which actually ends with us finding out he is the mole. But the biggest thing here is that the league's taking over in this episode. That might finally expose all the team secrets. See, this is when everything just came crashing down this episode, because I think everyone admitted their faults and everything like that here, and that's when because I think this episode started with them going on a chase to the this could have been, I could be wrong about this one, but yeah. So I'm just this leads into the season finale with the big reveal with Roy. The team beats the Justice League, in my opinion, pretty easily. The only real struggle was Batman versus Robin, and then Superman versus Superboy for a little bit, but then they worked together and easily beat them. Pretty concrete. So I don't know. I didn't give too much details about each episode. Actually, I don't want to do that, because if I want to do that, then I should just do because I could really spend a whole hour talking per episode, just breaking down the minute details. So we're not going to do that here. I just want the overview, summarize, and try to see if I can remember anything that I didn't already mention, but I'm pretty sure I really covered everyone. I cannot remember this woman's name is on 25's picture, but she was on a team at the end, very short lived. I mean not short lived, but she was on a team at the end, and I think we easily see why she wasn't on a team earlier. But she basically almost was like a Green Lantern substitute in my opinion with her powers. It seemed like she was doing kind of construct type deals. So we know she had like kinetic shields or something like that, I believe. So this leads very smoothly into the end of episode 20, at the end of 26. So the league, there are 6 members that went missing for 16 hours. This is talked about religiously in the next season. So it really like leads into the next season. But that's kind of the end point, is that there was like 6 leaguers that they could not account for 16 hours. So they basically ended up ending the episode on a big cliffhanger. There was like, all right, we don't know what happened these 16 hours, and that's kind of where it ended. Now. It blended very seamlessly, in my opinion, going to the next episode. Going to the next season. I'm not gonna talk too much about the next season. Obviously, that's a whole another video for the future. But very quickly though, spoilers for anyone. If you do not want to hear about season 2, if you just got done watching season 1 and you came to this video just to check it out, this is where it ends for you, because I'm gonna talk a little bit about season 2 here for people who have already seen the series completely front to back. So this spoiler warning. Thank you guys for coming. If you just here from season 1 and only seen season 1 so far, please hit that like, subscribe, comment. But spoiler warning from her out. So season 2 leads into this almost immediately, with basically this whole invasion ordeal, or which is actually the name of this like season, is Young Justice Invasion. So it starts out pretty much leads into a it starts with a mission where you see Superboy and McGann, so you don't really think too much about it until the next thing you see are the other 2 members of the team, which come Blue Beetle and Beast Boy. I was gonna say Green Boy. Blue Beetle and Beast Boy. So we immediately get like a shift dynamic change, and that's what I thought. No. Does Wonder and then Batgirl and Wonder Girl are also on the team? Is that how the episode? I think that's how the episode continued later. No, is that how the episode opened? Or is that how the episode... Basically, the team was getting bigger by the end of like episode 25 and 26. But by the second season, the team's so massive that they're like it's divided into like 3 squads. So, and all the episodes fit so well together that you could watch like an episode from like episode 1. Well, I couldn't say that. You can watch a lot of the later episodes of season 1 and then watch some episodes of season 2, and it can still make sense. I think, but I don't think you could go with like the first 3 episodes of season 1 and just pull up an episode of season 2. It wouldn't make much sense there. But if you've seen like most of season 1, at least the first like 20 episodes, you should be able to track a lot of things going on in season 2. But yeah, I could have sworn I had a lot more thoughts to say about season 2 here. That really like played back into season 1, but I cannot remember them for the life of me. But I will mention those in season 2. When I could talk about season 2, I'll mention anything that it relates with season 1. But the biggest bridge is the 16 hours the league goes missing. That is kind of the big bridge here, and there's an obvious time skip. So from this episode to season 2, there is, I'm assuming, a 5-year time skip because I think that Superboy. I mean, I think that Robin is now 18 is what my belief is. So I think that he is I think he's an adult now. I could be wrong, but my assumption is that he was 13 in season 1, and I think he's 18 now. So my like guess is that it's been 5 years. But no, where I'm at in season 2, they haven't confirmed how big the gap was. But anyways, that is all. This video's been long enough. I hope I hit all the main points. Like I said, I really have enjoyed the show so far. It hasn't felt too childish. It hasn't felt like it's targeted for kids. Everything's been pretty enjoyable. Dialogue's okay. I enjoy seeing the Justice League for anytime they appear. I like all the heroes they've shown. I really enjoyed the heroes in season 2, which I can't wait to talk about that season. But yeah, they just did a really good job here. Not really much more to add. I really enjoyed this, even though this is like what 12 years old now. This show still holds weight, still looks nice. The art wise, I mean, you can tell that they had some money when they was making this, because they definitely weren't holding back on the budget on these episodes. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I can't wait. I'm not too far. I've seen like season 1 and 2 bits and pieces here and there in the past, because back then when you watched cable, you weren't guaranteed to watch the episodes in order. So it kind of, I never really saw most of them in order. But it's good to now see it in order. And now it makes like a lot more sense. But I know a lot of the bigger points for season 2. But it's still nice to see some like the smaller things that I didn't see at first. But yeah, it totally different dynamic. Like the episode the last episode of season 1 and 2 blend, but there is a complete like dynamic shift. So it's very interesting to watch. Especially the biggest one really just kind of being Nightwing just appearing, and just like just you can just immediately tell that there's been a few years that has gone by. Yeah, I think that's it, man. I'm not gonna dive too much into season 2, because obviously that's a whole other ordeal. I just can't really think that anything I didn't cover here. I hope later I'm gonna be like, oh, I forgot to mention this, and it's gonna hit me like a train. But I think that's everything, man. I like I said, show's been great. I give it, if I had to rate it, I would give it like an 8 out of 10, because so far season 2's like story, and now here's the thing. The first movie, the setups to a show are always gonna be kind of harder to do, because you have the job of setting it up. You have to set it up. So season 1 has to set the story, has to set the tone, has to set everything up, the relationships, all of that. Season 2 can go crazy. We already established a lot of the world. The world building's already there. We know the characters mostly. The world building's there. The characters have been there. You can, that now you can go crazy with the story, and I think that's why season 2 is gonna obviously probably be a higher rating. But so far, season 1, I think if you just did not see it and watched it front to back and saw that crazy twist at the end, that you would pretty much be like, okay, yeah. So, but I give it an 8 out of 10. Solid first season. Not really too much to complain about. I really like, it was 25 episodes, 26, and there was really only one episode I just like could not really pay too much attention to. I just didn't find it that interesting, and that was just the prison, when they broke into the prison, and that was about it. Every other episode I really enjoyed. I think, yeah, a lot of background, learned a lot of new things on each character, things like that. So but yeah, one thing to mention too here is that it's been so much time that the older leaguers, or the older young Justice members, have definitely developed some powers. I will say that another obvious, or another thing is, I believe, I'm not sure on Connor 100% yet. If I can't remember if he had X-ray vision yet, but I know he has X-ray vision in the second season, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't one of his basic powers in season one. I think he needed the patches, so I don't know if he's unlocked this or what. But yeah, Connor can has X-ray vision now, and McGann also, she can phase through stuff now in season 2, which are 2 upgrades that I've noticed so far with the team. Yeah, I think. But yeah, man, I that's it, man. This season great, and not too much. Pretty basic, pretty much solid. Did their job, set up the world. I think season 2 is really where they went crazy, and that's why it's hard. It's hard to, like, when you think about like trying to talk about the end of it. It's hard not to go into the next season, because that's when the crazy stuff really starts to happen. Because the world building's there. They throw in 10 more new characters, so it gets a lot more hectic. The relationships are way more integrated and more complex. So yeah, for sure. I think this is maturity level has gone up. There definitely is a difference, I think. So that's where this season, it's so hard when you get near the end, but this does a really good job setting up the basics of the team. I think it tried to play it safe. It did that well. It was nice action, and really enjoyed the action. Plot was there, dialogue was there. Never felt like it was too childish at any point. Yeah, pretty good. If you paid attention, everything lines up and links. But I will say this: there was a lot of handholding, especially when it came to they made it very obvious that the light, if you will, which I guess you could call that I guess when I was trying to think of a name besides the Injustice League, I think their name was the Light, right? But basically, they were the true, like, masterminds behind a lot of things, and they mentioned at the end of every episode, they was like, well, the team fooled our plan for this, but that didn't even matter. We just wanted this, right? So every time, everything they did was a diversion, basically. But it was like, the real objective, we got that. We got the real objective. But yeah, the team messed up this, but who cares? We got what we wanted, and they did a lot of hand-holding there of us kind of making it feel like, oh, the team. It always felt like the team won, but then they was like, nah, they didn't win. It was basically like a slap in the face at the end of the episode. So besides that, it was still okay. And I guess it was needed. It was needed for a lot of younger audiences to keep up. But they definitely did a lot of handholding with, at least with that of how much the Light was actually controlling the situation, which I think they could have did that maybe more subtle or just at the end and be like, hey, everything we've done until this point has been planned out, which they do say that, but they could have also shown how at the end too. But they just kind of showed it as the episodes went along, things like that. So yeah, that's all I gotta say, man. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I did enjoy making it. I did enjoy talking about this. And if you guys did enjoy this, please hit that thumbs up, like button. We'll be back with more, man, for season 2 for sure. And I will have a lot to say about season 2. And I would probably go ahead as I'm watching it, maybe start jotting topic notes down so that it can be more scripted. If you're here at the end and you've enjoyed everything I've said so far, you will definitely enjoy the next one. So hit that subscribe button, because we will be back with more. Also, check out some of my other content, if you will. And I think what I want to do is I also might want to do an episode by episode breakdown, because I think there's so much to digest in season 2 that I think I could get away with that without, like, being too short or too long-winded on certain things. I think I could dive into a lot more here on that. So I think that's what I'm looking to do. So if you guys have enjoyed this, man, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know if I missed something. Please comment if you felt like there was a topic I missed. Comment it, and I will give you a paragraph back. I will give you a 3-page essay on what my thoughts on it. I might have missed something, but there was definitely I feel like I didn't talk too much about, like, well, I mean, I talked about the characters in the first part, but yeah, like, Yeah, just let me know if there's something I missed. Let me know, please. Anyways, we're out. Peace.